New measure. Integral order effect. That's our LP. And we have to interpret two functions which are equal to almost everywhere as same functions. This equivalence clause with respect to that. We just look at one representative all the time. So any two functions which are equal to almost everywhere have to be treated as the same function. Okay. Then on this we define this norm, and then for 1 less than or equal to p less than infinity, we showed what is the inconsistency that this is a norm, satisfies basically the triangle. This is a norm. So therefore LP with this norm is a non-linear space. What will be this is what we have. The crucial in this were the crucial for this was the Minkowski's inequality, which came out of the Holder's inequality. These two were two important. And for p equal to infinity, we define L infinity omega mu to be f omega to r, f essentially bounded to measure. We look at essentially bounded measurable functions as the L infinity. Essentially bounded means bounded almost everywhere. And so we can look at the various bounds that we can do, and then we look at all the m's such that mod f(x) is less than or equal to m almost everywhere. Various m's that we could adjust by changing the set of f(0), and among all the m's look at the smallest m, and this we called as the L infinity norm. Then this is a norm of L infinity, and this space therefore becomes a norm. So now we have for 1 less than or equal to p less than or equal to infinity, LP norm infinity norm p. So therefore we can say that LP omega mu with this understanding in the non-linear space for every p less than these are the very famous classical spaces. Most of the work is done in these spaces, except now with PDEs coming in terms of distribution, there will be some subspaces of this with some additional properties, so-called spaces of distribution. Okay. Now I would like to, before I get into these empty spaces, I will also indicate,
although we write notation like this,
yes.
It should always be, in the background you should always be very remember the equivalence.
Exactly. This is why when we say f is equal to g, we mean that f is equal to g almost everywhere.
There are so many zeros.
Yeah, definitely. Several sets of measure zeros can be removed. So all this is only, it is a representative, one representative from one class has this finite value, all representatives will have the same value, and so on and so forth. So that's why you can think of these as circles. So actually what you should do is, you should take the space of a collection of all measurable functions. Let's call it as f mapping omega to r, f measurable. You can even take extended real valued function, but the extended real value infinity is taken only on a set of measures 0. Okay. So take all these things and then define an equivalence relation on m omega as f is equivalent to g, equivalent if f is equal to g almost everywhere. Define this equivalence relation, and the equivalence relation always partitions the set. And these functions are one part, each part is a function, okay? So therefore, we can define the equivalence classes as some collection of functions which are all equal to almost everywhere to this f is one class. And now any such representative is what I am using there. So this is just actually the quotient under this equivalence class. Okay. Right. So now I said that I will just indicate one more inequality which is useful for us. We have proved Holder, we have proved Minkowski. One more inequality called Jensen, which we had done way back when we discussed arithmetic mean, geometric mean, etc. But I'll just look at this in the context of measurable function. Okay, so recall first of all. Let me take a very simple phi mapping. Phi is a real valued function defined on an interval a b. These two are finite. Let's take finite intervals. Okay, it's said to be convex. It's said to be a convex function if phi of lambda x plus 1 minus lambda y is less than or equal to lambda phi x plus 1 minus lambda for every x y in a b or every lambda x equal to lambda. Because lambda equal to 0 is nothing, it's trivial. Okay, so the non-trivial cases when 0 is, when lambda equal to 0, you get what is here phi y, and here you get phi y. Phi y equal to phi y is obvious. So there is nothing sensational about lambda. Such a function is called a convex function. So I am going to look at some simple things about convex functions.
Is there any view from which the equivalence classes in terms of incident or the 0 will be unique?
Then sets of measure 0 must be empty. The moment it is non-empty, I can fool around with that set, values of the function in that set. Isn't it? So the only case where empty set is all the 0 measure sets are empty sets. We have very peculiar measure. For example, if you have atomic measure, that is, measure is given only at points and all other places it is gauge. Okay. Then almost everywhere means everywhere. So therefore you have to have measures like that, except like discrete measures like that, every other is spread. Let us take for example, so what you are worried about this equivalence class will generate it itself. Let me let us take for example a discrete set. Okay. Let us say that I am going to introduce a measure on this. So I am going to define the measure for all subsets of omega. So there is no concern of measurable subset. All subsets are going to be measured. A belongs to omega define or A belongs to define mu of A to be equal to number of points in A is finite, plus infinity if A is infinite. Okay. So the number of points gives the measure of that set. Okay. Now you can verify that this is a measure, satisfies all the properties, countable additivity, etc. etc. So mu is a measure, and all subsets are measurable sets. Okay, any non-empty set has measure positive, strictly greater than 0. Right? So therefore, the only set of measure 0 is the empty set. And therefore, f equal to g almost everywhere. But the place where it can differ is only the empty set. In such cases, it's always possible. There are easy examples. These are easy examples.
So property is something we have.
Yeah, discrete probability is definitely a thing. Definitely is. For example, if you want to normalize this, you could take a finite set, or you can put you can give a weightage for each point, so that the total weight is 1, and then give the measure there. You will find that the only set with measure 0 is the empty set. Okay. So, for example, let's take omega to be some discrete set, infinite discrete set, and then define the measure of a single point to be some mu j, and such that where you choose the mu j, so that summation mu j equal to 1, for example 1 over 2 to the j or something like that. Choose some numbers like that. I had given some exercises like this, I think, in your class, in probability, you calculate some of the problem. And then now define mu of any set A to be equal to sum of these mu j's for all those a's which belong to that set. Just add the measures of this. And if you take all the mu j's to be strictly positive, you will find again that only the empty set has measure 0. And the same statement. Such things will work. Okay, so can I erase this now? So in probability, particularly discrete probability, this sort of things can happen. Wherever non-empty sets have positive measure, this strictly positive. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so I take a convex function. What I mean by a convex function is this. Okay. So now I am going to look at one simple property, one simple inequality involving convex function, which is perhaps the one that gives all the necessary things that one can generate about the convex function, whatever property one about convex function comes to that. So what I do is, here is A, here is B. Okay. Phi is defined here. Phi maps this interval A, B to R. Take any 3 points in this interval, U, B, and so let A less than U less than B less than C. Take any 3 points in this interval. Now, I am going to concentrate on this interval. Whenever you have a point B between 2 points U and W, it divides the line segment UW in a particular ratio, and V can be written now as a linear combination of U and W using that ratio. So V can be written as, this is one of the first thing that teachers, they used to teach us in analytical geometry in intermediate, first year PUC. Given 2 points A and B, find a point in between the two which divides the line segment ratio m is to n. First formula that we learned in analytical geometry business. Because this is even easy. We are not even tilting the points anywhere in the plane, they are all on the real line. Now we can written as V equal to W minus V by W minus U into U plus V minus U by W minus U. When we add these two, denominator is the same. You get WU minus WU, that goes up. Then you have VW, VU. So V into W minus U, denominator is W minus U, it knocks off, so it's just V. Okay. So it's a very simple observation. So V can be written like this. Now by rule, let lambda to be W minus V by W minus U, this becomes 1 minus lambda. By the way, what is 1 minus lambda? It is 1 minus W minus V by W minus U, which is W minus U minus W plus V divided by W minus U, which is V minus U. So this becomes 1 minus lambda. So it is of the form lambda by U plus 1 minus lambda. Right? So if I choose lambda to be this, then V is this convex combination. Any point in between U and W can be written as a convex combination of U. This is called a convex. What is the consequence of that? Then by convexity of phi, we have V of lambda U plus 1 minus lambda W is less than lambda phi U plus 1 minus V W. Okay, so I have just remember the definition. Instead of x and y, I have used U and V, the points in that interval, U and W. Okay? So phi of lambda U into 1 minus lambda W is less than lambda phi U plus 1 minus. Now I'm going to substitute. But this is U V. By our choice of lambda, lambda U plus 1 minus lambda W is exactly V. That's how I chose. So phi of V is less than or equal to lambda is what? W minus V by W minus U into phi U plus V minus U by W minus U. I substituted for lambda. Now it's a question of small manipulation of this which gives me two results. I'll call this as. Now one implies the following. I'll keep it as it is. The first term. The second term, I'll add and subtract a term. Just add and subtract. So that gives me is equal to W minus V by W minus U by U plus V minus W by W minus U by W plus phi W. W minus U by W minus U is not out. So I treat this as two terms. This one is here and that one is there. So I bring it to the other side. Phi V minus phi W is less than or equal to V minus W into phi W minus phi. There is a VW divided by W minus U. All of them have W minus U. So denominator is W minus U. This is W minus V, this is V minus W. So if I take V minus W out, I get phi W minus phi. Okay. Now I don't like this V minus W because W is greater than V. So I would like it to be this. So if I change the sign, what do I get? 5w minus 5b, multiply both sides of minus 1, that will be equal to greater than or equal to w minus b, 5w minus 5u by w. Or finally, I can write this as pull this here, 5w minus 5b divided by w minus b is greater than 5w minus 5u. Okay, so that's one. So basically, it's writing like the difference quotient. 5w minus 5v by w minus v. Okay, at w. Similarly, now this is the difference quotient 5w minus 5u by w minus u. Now we do the other way around. Here I added and subtracted something to this. Now I'll add and subtract something to this. What is not there is added and subtracted. So it says 5v is less than or equal to. Now u is not there, so I add and subtract. Plus part v minus u. Okay, so just added and subtracted that. Now once again, that is 5u plus u minus v, 5u plus v minus u by w divided by w. Again take it to this side, I get 5v minus 5u which is less than or equal to, I take out v minus u, I get 5w minus 5u divided by w. Finally pull it to this side, I get 5v minus 5u by v minus u is less than or equal to 5w minus 5u. Okay, so these are some simple manipulations. So if phi is a convex function and a less than u less than v less than w, b is so. Now combine all this, what do I get? So I get phi v minus phi u divided by v minus u is less than or equal to phi w minus phi u by w minus u, but phi w minus phi u by w minus u is less than or equal to phi w minus phi v divided by w. This is a very important inequality for a convex function. If phi is a convex function in the interval AB, then for any UVW in that interval, such that u is less than v less than w, so this is it. So this is the positioning of UVW. So the positioning of the UVWs is like this, and phi is convex in AB, this string of inequalities. So in other words, the difference quotient here is less than or equal to the difference quotient here is less than or equal to the difference quotient.
That's the rough way ahead.
Okay, now I can erase all these things. Basically, this is the inequality that uses almost the standard things that we derive from convex functions. I'll first prove only, I'll restrict myself to intervals like this and prove the result. Later will be necessary to prove something more performance. Suppose I have now a function f, again a measure space, and f passing omega to r, f measure. Suppose I have a measurable function. Then, suppose A is between, fx is between A. So I take actually a bounded measurable function. Many of these things can be relaxed, but I'm just looking at it in the simplest version. Suppose I have a bounded measurable function which lies between A and B. Then I have into sufficiently large. What is this? So A mu omega is less than the integral of f over omega, less than b integral b mu. So suppose mu of omega is finite, and then we are guaranteed that this is an integrable function. That is an integral, cannot go on this side. So what we are going to do is, let us without loss of generality take mu of omega to be 1. Then we have come to this situation. Mu of omega equal to total number is 1. Okay. Then what will you get? A is also, the integral is also so I have f is an integrable function, forces that. So that lies between A and B, and suppose the total measure is 1, all these are now I have a function, so that I can make my calculation simpler. Okay. Now, what I do is the following. Take AB and suppose y is convex. What we are really asking is, f is a measurable function, for a moment assume it's a bounded function, and phi must be convex in some interval which includes the range of the function f of x. That's what we are really asking. Phi may be convex in even a bigger interval. So as long as phi is convex in an interval which it swallows the range of f, then I can talk about phi of f of x. It must be defined. I want to talk about it properly. So I have this. I have this A and B, and phi is convex, and for any x, fx is somewhere here. Because fx lies between A and B. Okay. So now what I am going to do is call this some name, call it capital X. Call it T. Some number. For every x, fx is somewhere lying there. I am fixing this. Let me see what I want to do. Okay, let's see one first. Consider now take any point that take any I will do this x y. Take any point y between A and f. So I take a point take x and look at the value of fx that lies between A and B. Take a point y which lies to the left of this P. Okay? Take any point that lies to the left of y. So let y be such that A less than y less than B. So rotation. Then I am going to use that inequality. Phi of, I am going to call this as u and call this as v. For w I can choose anybody on the right hand side, is irrelevant what y is. Whatever y is, I can choose anybody on the right hand side. So pick some big T. So let T be any fixed point in T. Now you see with this as U, this as V and this as W, I can apply that fundamental inequality of convex functions. Okay? So let's call it that. So by 1, I am going to look at only the first part, that's enough for you. Phi of T minus V is T here, U is Y, U, V, W are the first points in that line from left to right, divided by V minus U, which is T minus Y, is less than or equal to phi W minus phi V right? But now once I fix the point X, I have fixed the value X, so this little t and capital T are all fixed. I am looking at Y varying between A and T. Wherever that Y is, that ratio is always bounded by this fixed quantity. Okay. And therefore, as Y varies between A and T, this ratio will always be bounded and so it will have a supreme. So therefore, the set of all phi T minus phi Y divided by T minus Y such that Y belongs to A. These numbers. Now, take any Y, calculate this ratio, that's a number. So you get a set of all numbers. This number is a bounded set of numbers. In fact, it's enough to say bounded, right? And therefore, what does it mean? Bounded above. It will have a, I should say, a set of numbers bounded above. If it is bounded above, it will have a supreme. Therefore, supremum is okay, so now that's fixed. That ratio is always bounded and it will be what I mean is I want to compare. Okay, what is my goal? I want to compare the integral of this and the integral of this. Integral phi of the integral and integral of the phi. These two are what is the and that's what the Jensen inequality is. It says what it is. Okay. How they are related. Which one is bigger, which one is smaller. I don't remember which one is smaller. Always I try to look at something and decide. Okay. Now all these fellows are between A and B. So therefore I have to worry only about points in A and B. So let us take any point now in A. Any point in the possibility is A is to the left of T, A is to the right of T, or A is at T, or gamma is to the left of T, or gamma is to the right of T, or at gamma equal to. So let's take the three cases. So let gamma be such that A less than gamma. Case 1 is gamma is to the left of T. Case 2 is gamma is to the right of T. What is case 3? These are the three possible cases. Gamma can be this side, that side, or actually the real numbers are the law of right. Now I'm going to look at each one of these cases, what is going to happen. So remember this, A is between the fx is t and this integral is between A. Okay. Now let's look at the case one. Huh? Now I'm looking at some arbitrary element in that interval. Because this integral of f is somewhere in between. So I'm going to locate it and see phi of that, how it will behave. That's what Jensen's inequality says. It's going to be somewhere there. I don't know where it is, so I'm going to look at all the possible fellows. So gamma, essentially therefore, this number is somewhere here or here or here. I'm going to look at where it is and what is happening in each one of these cases. Suppose it is here. Then I can take this inequality. What will it say? Phi t minus phi gamma divided by t minus gamma will have to be less than or equal to beta, because beta is the supremum over all this. So therefore, phi t minus phi gamma by t minus gamma is less than or equal. Right? By definition of beta is, as you vary y over this entire place between A and T, the maximum of that ratio, and this is only one of the set ratio, so therefore that will be less than or equal to maximum one, supreme. So this is, so therefore beta into T minus gamma is greater than or equal to phi T minus gamma. Okay, that's what happens in the first case. Now it trivially happens in the third case. Left side is 0, right side is 0. So equality takes place. Holds also in this case. So now we have to look at case 2. Now once we show that it holds also in this case, the rest of the game is only integration of this inequality which gives the Newton's inequality. So let's look at the case 2 also. In case 2, this is the situation. Now pick any point y there. I can take any point y. What does this inequality say? Phi gamma phi t minus phi gamma phi y divided by t minus y. Again UVW. Choose any y to the left of t. Choose any y to the left of t. Right? I can choose a y to the left of t because gamma is to the right of t in case 2. Now take this as UVW and apply this. Phi t, that is phi v minus phi u divided by v minus u must be less than or equal to this big fellow, because this fellow is less than or equal to this fellow. Now previously I applied only this inequality. Now I am applying this inequality. What is phi w now? Phi w is phi gamma minus phi v, which is phi t, divided by gamma. Again applying the same fundamental inequality for convex functions with this u, v and w and taking these extreme inequalities. This is less than or equal to this. Now that gives us what we want. And this is true wherever I choose ys. And therefore the supremum, this fellow is greater than or equal to everybody there, and therefore it will be greater than or equal to this. So it means this is an upper bound, and therefore any upper bound is greater than or equal to the least upper bound, and so this is true for all y, which implies the supremum of phi t minus phi y divided by t minus y belonging to a t is less than or equal to phi gamma minus phi t divided by gamma minus t, but this is what we defined as b. beta into gamma minus t is less than or equal to phi gamma minus phi t. But if you want to write it in this format, beta into t minus gamma, you write it as beta into t minus gamma is greater than or equal to phi t. Change the sign when the multiplier minus 1. So it holds even when case 2. Therefore also in therefore also. So what is the net result? The net result is beta into t minus gamma is greater than or equal to what is the order? Phi t minus phi gamma. For all gamma in E. We have now verified that for all the gamma, whether it is to the left of t or to the left of right of t. So what is the final conclusion? For any x in A, once you fix that x, you have beta. T is what? Our definition, we call T as fx as T. T, so that's fx minus gamma is greater than or equal to phi of fx minus phi of for every gamma in A. Once you, for any x, this inequality is valid for every gamma in A. I can put any gamma in A. In particular, I am going to put gamma equal to the integral fx because it lies here. So take gamma, now I will erase this. Take gamma. I will erase all this. Take gamma. Then what does that inequality say? Beta into fx minus some number that is greater than or equal to, which comes for phi t minus phi gamma, is it? Phi fx minus phi gamma. Phi fx minus phi of gamma. Okay? We're done. Now what we do is integrate. I have to make okay, let's do formally. All these functions are to be measurable. Okay, that's one thing you have to verify. Any convex function will be continuous function of a measurable function is measurable. All that. Then if you integrate, you get beta into integral. Maybe I should return only as gamma. Keep that in mind. So integral fx d. What is integral fx d? Minus, this is gamma is a constant. I have to integrate. I will get measure of. But what is measure of omega? My hypothesis 1. So that's gone. So what is this? Gamma minus gamma, which is 0. Okay, so that is 0. Greater than or equal to integral of phi of f of x minus, this is again a number, times the measure, so it is just mu omega, which is 1. So we bring it to this side, so we get phi of integral omega fx d mu is greater than integral omega phi of fx. So this is what Jensen's inequality is. This is what is called as Jensen's inequality. Okay, let's put these conditions. Let f be an integrable function, bounded below and above, and phi is a convex function in the range of f. Then, with the measure of the total set is a probability measure, then phi of the integral is greater than or equal to the integral of the phi. That's all. Phi of the integral is greater than or equal to the integral of the phi is the Jensen's inequality. This is what is called Jensen's inequality.
So this holds only in cases like probability measures.
We can do a little better. That's what I said. I'm going to do the simplest version first. and then we will look at it later. Because everything becomes very clearly obvious. Finite measure is one important requirement. Nu omega equal to 1, because here itself all this will be screwed up. Okay. So the finite measure is nu omega equal to 1 is not that great. You can adjust. Because if you have a general measure, you can always divide it by the total measure and make it as measure 1. The normalization is not the same. Because if you know that the general measure, you could divide it by the total measure here, and that will get cancelled. So that will not get used. We'll come back to that later. It was all necessary. So that is what is known as a very famous inequality. Jensen, I think exactly 100 years into that, people write from 6 actually. So very, very useful inequality. It is the generalization of the fact phi of the mean is less greater than the mean of the phi when you have a convex function. Okay, so these are three major inequalities that we should remember. One is the Holder, the other one is Minkowski, and the third one is Jensen. These three inequalities are important. Now I am going to come back to LP spaces. So now we have this LP space. Omega being known vector space. So we will simply write LP omega. Let's first consider the case. Not less than 2 less than, because the infinity measure is of a different nature. These are all in terms of integral, so we will use these parts. Now we have already seen that it is a non-linear. Not that is integral mod f to the power of p. Now there are many things that we can borrow from non-linear spaces and ask similar questions. Or borrow it. First of all, the moment, suppose now generally you have a non-linear space. Okay, suppose I have a general non-linear space, where you have vectors and the length is defined. In particular, you can take this LP space. First, we have the notion of convergence. Your notion of convergence. What is the notion of convergence? So we have Xn, let me use the same notation. Fn belongs to X or element, F belongs to X. We say Fn converges to F in this non-linear space if same thing. For every epsilon positive, there exists a stage beyond which the error, now the error is quantified in terms of the norm. That implies the error Fn minus F is found. Then we write Fn tends to F in this space. So what does it mean to say that Fn tends to F in LP? What we mean is for every epsilon positive, there exists an n epsilon, that n greater than n epsilon implies this norm, the p norm is like that is integral mod Fn x minus fx to the power of p over omega d mu to the power of omega t. So the quantification is in terms of the peak mean. Whenever you are in LP, what we mean by convergence in that space, we always mean the convergence in the peak. So that's the first notion of convergence. We have in general nonlinear space, in particular we have it for the LP spaces. The second notion we have is the notion of Cauchy sequences. Now one thing that fairly straightforward is, if we have a sequence in a nonlinear space, and if it converges to F, and if it also converges to G, then F must be equal to G. The limit is unique. Now what do we mean here? So if Fn converges to F in LP, Fn converges to G in LP, then the function F must be equal to G. But in what sense? Almost everywhere. There are many places where it will differ, but almost everywhere it must be equal. In that space they are equal. That space equality means almost everywhere equal. Okay. So that one thing which you should keep on remembering all the time. And the next notion is the Cauchy sequence. So Fn belonging to a nonlinear space is said to be the Cauchy sequence if, again the same thing, difference becomes less than epsilon beyond a certain stage. Okay, they start clustering around within a small. Now what does the same thing in LP omega mu Cauchy if for every epsilon positive there exists an epsilon such that nm greater than implies integral mod fnx minus fx fmx to the power of p to the power of 1 over p. This is what it really means when you say Cauchy sequences in LP.
So is that F also in LP, that limit?
We'll come to that. No, first of all, by definition, you will see already I am saying F is in X.
Oh.
Because I can't write this otherwise. We normally define only for elements of X. So therefore, that is why this Cauchy is protected. When I want to write the limit in this form, it is already assumed that fellow is in LP. Okay. But when you write Cauchy sequence, we are not talking about limit. We are talking only about convergence. This definition of convergence is convergence to something. Whereas Cauchy sequence doesn't say where it is going, it says it is converging, that's all. It is not to this, it is converging. Okay. Now your question comes. It is converging, but is it converging to something? And that is what is meant by completeness. And it turns out all these places are complete. So this is the major important theorem. First theorem is, let me just give a, this is a fundamental theorem. What's it called? So everything will have is, because these classical spaces were completely studied by mainly Friedrich Ries, but some of them are also due to his brother Marcel Ries. So if we say Ries, generally maybe the probability of it being right being done by Ries. So the first theorem is LP omega mu complete this for every Cauchy sequence Fn in LP. There exists an F in LP such that they converge to, they have to converge to. So this is so therefore a complete nonlinear space is called a kernel. And this is true even in, I have not looked at infinity, but this is true even in infinity. So therefore LP omega b mu is the complete non-linear spaces are called Banach space. The Banach space for every P. And these are generally referred to as the classical Banach spaces. Concrete examples of Banach spaces. One of the classical concrete Lebesgue, mostly after Lebesgue integral came. See, these were all incomplete spaces in the Riemann sense. You could have done the same thing. You could have taken all Riemann integrable functions whose Pth mean is integrable, then defined the norm, then that would have become a non-linear space, but it would have been incomplete. So, okay, I'll make one comment now. I'll make another comment also. So therefore, these were all hanging in balance. Only after Lebesgue put them in Lebesgue integral came, then these things were viewed in the sense of Lebesgue integral and found they were complete. I will also look at this shortly. Maybe I will make one comment. Therefore, these are Banach. Okay, so maybe I will get to that directly. Lebesgue never? No. Lebesgue more or Rn. This was Rn measure an integral in Rn. In fact, he straight away started to measure on Rn. Content. He talked in terms of content in Rn. So he was more interested in putting integration, and once he put that, the rest of them follow. And it so happened that that's the time Hilbert started looking at the Hilbert spaces and all these things, and people start wondering which one of these is generated by inner product, which one of these are Hilbert spaces, which one is complete. All these functional questions started coming in. So Rees put all these things in the right perspective. Why do we have the Borel measure at? Borel measure comes in essentially in the terms of the Riemann integrals. There will always, you can think of Riemann integration more in terms of Borel measure than Lebesgue. Because there we think of only intervals, and we are not bothered about extending the notion of measure beyond the Borel sets. We looked always about continuous functions are almost everywhere continuous. That integral made sense for him only for such, and that covered only within Borel measures. And the problem with the Borel measure was it was incomplete. That itself is all the incompleteness is built in the incompleteness of the Borel measure. And that completion of the Borel measure gives the Lebesgue measure, and that leads to the completion of all these incomplete spaces, and we got on this complete spaces.
Sir, we have that condition for a function being Lebesgue measure. Inverse of Borel Z should be Lebesgue.
Yeah, that's it.
Is there any such substitute condition for Riemann? Measurement is a Riemann.
So not measurability, it's integrable, but only if the set of discontinuities of measure C. The function is Riemann integrable, but only if it's bounded, because Riemann integral first of all defined only for bounded functions. You take the max and the min in each sub-interval. So a priori it is required that it is bounded. So a function is Riemann integrable if and only if it is bounded and the set of discontinuities of measure C. That is the condition, the equivalent of that measure. Not only we want it to be almost everywhere continuous. So basically, therefore, that's all maximum that has been extended. The integration notion could be thought about. I know about continuous function, but barring a disaster on a set of measure 0 where it is not continuous, I can still define integration. So that's a fundamental theorem. A function is Riemann integrable even only if it's bounded and its set of discontinuities is of measure 0. Okay. Now, okay, I will look at something about the Riemann integral and all this thing. You look at this whole thing in a different ballgame, okay, in a completely different way. I knew only continuous functions. That seems, let us say, these are the nicest functions you start with. Nice continuous functions.
Sir,
Yeah.
last previous. On a set of measure 0 meaning the measure is the Riemann.
Lebesgue measure. Riemann would have stated in a very complex manner. He stated that set of all given the set of all points of discontinuity can be enclosed in intervals whose total length is less than epsilon for any epsilon greater than 0. That's essentially what Lebesgue measure is 0 means. So Riemann would have stated that suppose f is the set, df is the set of all discontinuities there, then there exists intervals I1, I2, etc. such that df is contained in the union of intervals and sum of the length of the intervals is less than 0. So for every epsilon greater than 0, there exists this interval. That's exactly what Lebesgue measure 0 means.
You would have stated that.
Yes. Well, Lebesgue didn't state it exactly. So what he did, Riemann didn't do it exactly.
Because that's the starting point of
Yeah. So what Riemann did was, he looked at special cases where this happens. Finite number of discontinuities and things like that. But Dirichlet and others were the ones who put these things properly. In the context, they are more in the context of Fourier analysis. There are many things that came earlier than that. Fourier analysis, Fourier series come 100 years before Riemann and Lebesgue integral. Riemann came 40 years afterwards to put integral itself in proper order. Even though Fourier started using the symbolic integration and all, whatever was known up to that time as integral. But only after that Riemann put integration properly, then all these things become analyzed properly. Certain things go earlier before any formalism takes place. Then somebody comes and puts them formal, then all these things back are put back in the formal language. See, when Fourier started his work, nothing except calculus and Taylor series was there, and differentiation. So integration was a sort of vague idea that existed. Okay. So you can, the idea is, basically, what can I do starting with continuous functions? They are at the boundary. They are things being my most best friends. Anything I want to do through them. Because this is the one that I seem to understand. So what the early days of analysis was like this, calculus or analysis. Starting from continuous function, what are the things that I can build? What are the new things that I can build using these known fellows? So what do I mean by build? Try to add them, nothing new comes. Continuous. Try to multiply by a constant, nothing new comes. Continuous function only comes. Multiply to continuous function, nothing new comes. Continuity comes. So therefore, first thing they started was taking limits. Take a sequence of continuous functions and see what happens. If it converges, that's a new thing. But the new thing need not be continuous. Remember, point, if you take uniform convergence, it preserves continuity again. That's nothing new. So if I take point-wise continuity, then I get something new. Okay. Therefore, one new way was to look at, first you take the set of all CAP. Then you look at the set of all functions A, P to R, such that there is this Fn in CAP, such that Fn converges to a point. Now that takes care of now new functions started coming, those which are limits of continuous function. Then start from this and go what do you get next? Take limits of sequences of functions from B1. What do you get? This is the sort of thing that they were trying to build. Another way of looking at it was, look at continuity not point-wise, sequence, limits point-wise, take a sequence of functions which converges into average. That is Cauchy sequences. Cauchy sequences in the peak. What happened to them? When we started getting new function, because if you have a sequence of functions which are continuous, on that space, still that norm works. That's how it started. Still that norm works, but that's not a complete space. There are Cauchy sequences which do not have limits. Now, whenever you have an incomplete space, there is a process of completion. Just like we went from rational numbers to real numbers. You take all sequences, define an equivalence class, do the quotienting, and you get a new bunch of fellows. And now if we do that, if we take all continuous functions C, A, B, and take this now, this is incomplete, not a Banach space, complete it, what do you get? Subsequently it was looked at it this way, that they are nothing but completion of these continuous functions under the P norm. So in other words, these new spaces that are all obtained are only supplying the missing links in the continuous function space. Those limits were all missing. Supply them all, then you get a bigger class that is precisely LPAB. And that is why all functions in LPAB are approximable by continuous functions in the LP norm, because that's exactly how they are coming. Okay? And that's another way of looking at LPA. There are many ways of looking at this. In the beginning, yeah, you can think this because when I am talking about continuous function, we are only at that stage. Now, for these fellows, once Riemann-Lebesgue integral came, whether it is Riemann integral, Lebesgue integral, it's the same. So now look at it as the Lebesgue integral and look at it. And then that makes sense, you get new functions. That's how all these things are. There are lots of fiddling around that was going on ever since Lebesgue, and finally we put them all in this. Pardon me? Common dense set in all these. And you can also see that whenever you are in a finite interval at least, polynomials are dense in CAB uniformly. The polynomials are there uniformly and therefore in P norm also. So polynomials will is a dense set, common dense set. If polynomials are dense, polynomials with rational coefficients are dense. And therefore they are all what are known as separable spaces. They are a countable dense set and therefore they are all separable spaces. All these classicals except P equal to infinity. There the story is different. In all these cases, the polynomials with rational functions coefficients are dense and therefore they are separable canons. So there are many ways of looking at these things depending on even the proof of the fact that LPAB is a complete space itself, you will find different ways of proving it in different books. But classically how we would have done, okay. Classically what would have been the natural first proof tried? That's what we should look at. Once you got the first proof, then there is looking at elegant proofs are different story, ballgame. First is first hit. Finally I will convince that this is true. Then we can look for better proofs. Now, if you look back, if you look at what we did in the case of discrete vector. So if you take now, I will write vectors like this. Such that so you consider all these vectors, this is what is known as little l, right? These are all discrete functions. The corresponding version continuum here, the functions are defined on a discrete set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we are talking about functions defined on a continuous set AB, so that sum became the integral. So originally we were all only familiar with these vectors, discrete starting. Now how did they prove that this LP is complete? What do you mean? They first start with a sequence. So look at a sequence. And this sequence is Cauchy. What does that mean? Xn minus Xm, the pth norm goes to 0. Right? What does that mean? This means summation n equal to 1 to infinity, if you look at the jth coordinate of n and the jth coordinate of m, look at the peak difference, that goes to 0. If you borrow 1 over p goes to 0, therefore that goes to 0. And therefore for fixed j, that goes to 0. As n and m go to, this is all as n and m go to. Why is that? Because this is only one term of this. This whole thing goes to 0 and this is smaller than that, and therefore this will also go to. If this goes to 0, then for fixed j, xjn is a Cauchy sequence of numbers. Real or complex numbers. What does it mean? What's the problem?
Summation.
This is j equal. So for each fixed j, the coordinates, if you look at the coordinates sequence, that is a Cauchy sequence. It's a Cauchy sequence of complex or real numbers. But any sequence of Cauchy sequence of complex or real numbers converges. So we have xjn converges to say some number which will generate by xj for every. So now we have a hopeful candidate for a limit. So we define x to be the vector x1, x2, etc. And then the last step is we prove x belongs to LP, that is the sum of this is that, and xn converges to x. That's the sequence. So first of all, you have to have a possible candidate as a limit. You are given a Cauchy sequence, you want to show it converges to what? So I must say who is a possible candidate for that to what? And then actually say that fellow is indeed the right candidate. How do you get that? So in this case, what we did, the possible candidate was found by taking the limits at each one of these coordinates. That was the classical proof in the LP case. Now, if you wanted that same game to be applied here, let's see what we do. I am given a sequence of functions. I am given it is Cauchy in LP. What is my first part of the game? The first part will be, can I show fnx converges to some fx for every x. Why now? Because here for every fixed j, for every point in the domain of that function, we looked at convergence. Now for every point in the domain of the function, because this is less than or equal to that sum. This is only one term in that entire thing. That entire thing itself goes to 0. Therefore this will go to 0.
What do you mean by saying n is going to?
That means the Cauchy sequence. What does it mean to say it's Cauchy? As an n and m go to infinity, it goes to 0. That's what is meant by Cauchy, isn't it? This is just not xn minus x.
But the j should be equal to 1 to some.
That's just xn minus xm not p. As an n and m go to infinity, that's what Cauchiness means. Okay? Yeah? Is that clear? Or any doubt? We don't like that n and m going to infinity. Say for every epsilon greater than 0, there exists an n epsilon such that n and m greater than or equal to n epsilon, that is less than epsilon. If that is less than epsilon, therefore this is less than epsilon. So beyond a certain state, this is less than epsilon. Therefore, this is a Cauchy sequence, and therefore it must converge. That's what I am saying. Coordinate sequences are Cauchy sequences. The whole sequence is Cauchy. Says that the coordinate sequences are Cauchy. Since the coordinate sequences are Cauchy sequences of numbers, they must converge. So the coordinates converge. So coordinate convergence I get, but the new vector may not be in LP even though there is coordinate convergence. I show that it is indeed in LP and that is indeed the limit in the LP cell. These are all the major steps in the proof of the experiment. If you want to copy that, first of all I must ask, coordinate wise do I have convergence? Something. Now first thing itself I will say is, for me almost everywhere is the big business in. So even if this is almost every x is okay for me. This is not guaranteed. Unfortunately, because this argument will no longer work. This argument will no longer. Here we simply take one term is less than or equal to this, but that is not the case. That one value is less than or equal to the integral. That's where a big mess is. So therefore, right here I am in trouble. But these statements are true whatever the measure space.
Implicitly it's a comprehensive.
Yeah, but even if you have an capital LP in infinite measure space, still it is complete.
Right? But when we talk of the measurable function,
Yes.
or a continuum, all this will contain into
Yes.
that kind of argument.
That thing will go away. I told you that LQ is contained in LP only for QLP only finite measure. But I am not talking about LQ or anything else. I am fixing on LP and working with it. Right? There is no other colors coming. One fixed LP is what I am working. I am showing that each one of these LPs is finite. Is complete. So the problem therefore is, even the first step of copying our classical proof in the vector case does not work here. What do I do? So there is a problem. So there are various ways to do it. But what they do is, well, it does not happen that this FNX converges to something almost everywhere. But even though Fn does not convert, some subsequent converges almost. So that is the first step they observe. So can show the first step is subsequent Fnkx tends to Fx almost. It exists in Fx, such that Fnkx converges to Fx almost.
I don't understand why that doesn't work.
Why that doesn't work? Because if you want to copy that, here I will write Fx n minus Fmx to the power of p is less than or equal to Fnx minus Fmx to the power of p for every x. This is false, whereas there it is true. This is one term of a sum, and therefore the whole thing. But here, just because this integral is finite, doesn't mean that the value at one point is less than or equal to the entire integral is not valid. Whereas the value, the one term is less than or equal to the entire sum, that is valid in a discrete sum. So this is a major problem, because lot of fooling around and almost everywhere itself can happen.
So the first one and second one are equal because it's a Cauchy sequence. So
It is a Cauchy sequence in the LP now. Here it is convergence pointwise. Okay? So this is, so you have to make sure what we are talking about. They are totally different things. That is why even though if we said here it is pointwise convergence, you could immediately conclude it is the limit. We have to first show it is in LP, then show it is the LP limit. All that we have to show even in that previous case. Same problem comes. Next stage is, this is the possible candidate to show that it is indeed the candidate. Next step is to show that f belongs to LP, and step 3 is see what is it? We don't even know what is the limit. Okay. So therefore, you try to make some educated guess for who could be the limit. And once you have made an educated guess, hang on to him for dear life and show that that is indeed the limit. That's the thing. In the discrete case, locating the limit was possible limit was very easy by looking at coordinate wise limit. And the coordinate wise limit was always guaranteed. And so we had a possible candidate and show that that candidate is in your universe and show that that candidate is indeed the right limit. Here, catching hold of that possible fellow is a very funny business. You have to catch him through a subsequence and then through that subsequence claim that that limit is indeed a candidate in your universe and show that candidate is indeed the limit. So there are many things that are involved here. So that the way to get hold of this almost everywhere limit is done. So all we can say therefore is that if you have a sequence which converges in LP, if you have a sequence of functions, measurable functions, which converge in LP now, it does not guarantee that they converge point-wise almost everywhere. All that is guaranteed is that there exists a subsequence which converges almost everywhere, not the whole sequence. So the whole sequence may not even converge point-wise. And that is the very idea of taking mean, averages to make it converge. On an average it may converge, but point-wise it may not converge at all. And averaging also, if the pth average may converge and the point-wise may not converge. All we can say is if the pth average converges, some subsequence will converge almost. That is all that we can say about this LP conversion. So, average is a little better process. Even though point-wise nothing takes place, on an average it's okay. The errors may be getting cancelled off. The extra here is cancelled with the extra here, or some such adjustments take place. So therefore the average, on an average it's okay. So that's why we do a lot of averaging process. I always tell that this is how the idea was there for Chisar long back. The sequence may not converge, but if you take averages it may converge. And that's the first thing that happens in Fourier series. The partial sum of the Fourier series of a continuous function may not converge, but if you take the averages, that they converge beautifully. They converge uniformly. So in other words, you take sufficient number of averages, you go on doing the averaging processes, then you can bring them to some controllable this thing. It is exactly like the joke that if you have a curve, if you take log plot, essentially it will become a straight line. You can straighten up a bend by making sufficient logarithmic plots. Okay, that's the. So if you have ax to the power of n, x cube curve, you take logarithmic plot, it becomes immediately 3 log x. So if you plot versus log x, then it's just a straight line. So if it's more complicated, it still has a bend, take a further log, it takes sufficient logs, it will become a straight line. And eventually, all these bends are approximately powers. So eventually all the bends will be taken care of and you will get at least pieces of a straight line. So same way, something doesn't convert average. For example, 1 minus 1. This sequence does not convert. But if you take the average, this is what happens. 1, 0, 1 by 3, 0, 1 by 4. That's equal. That converges actually to 0. So if we had one more step before this, for this was the average. This did not converge. Its average did not converge. But the average with the averages converge. So if you are taking averages, sufficient number of average processes. So in other words, the fellow has his half the body in oven, the other half in the refrigerator. He is very uncomfortable if he complies. You can always tell him on an average you are very comfortable. Okay, that's all the bargain is. Point-wise is not comfortable. On an average is comfortable. That is why all these averaging processes are taken. It smoothens out bad things. Okay. If you don't comply, today is a bad day, tomorrow is more than a necessarily good day. So on an average everything has been nice to you. Okay, that sort of attitude. Things will be bad locally. Things could be bad locally, but on an average globally things are okay. So, if you want to do global analysis, you have to do averaging first. On an average things are okay, it's okay. But if you are doing local analysis, then the averaging is misleading you. Okay, local analysis, today what's happening is important for me, not an average over the last 15 years. If today the market crashed, it crashed, I lost all my money, I don't care on an average everybody gained 10% over the last 10 years. But I invested today and I lost, finished. Okay. So I am doing a local analysis. Then averaging is not the thing to do. You have to do more and more local. So there is a give and take. What is it that you want to do? You want to look at the market, how it behaved in the last 10 years, or you want to look at how the market is going to be in the next 10 minutes because I am investing money. And I want returns today itself. I will invest in the morning, sell the shares in the afternoon, pocket it and go. There are many people who do it. So therefore, it is all the averaging that makes these fellows okay. Continuous functions, point-wise convergence, they led to a lot of difficulties. But you do them average-wise, things are all okay. So the first thing is to eventually show that these spaces are all nice Banach spaces, complete, and we can show that everything, that what it means is that every coefficient is under. Then we will do that, we will indicate the proof of this possibility. The next stage is the important stage about study of functionals on these spaces. We will look at why do we need it, what is the mean by it. So basically therefore, a quick definition of this business of functional and in the context of the LP spaces, what does it all mean? That's the next thing that we will look at. Study now.
One of those special measures, will be there, small LPs cover up the measure.
Counting measure. Basically, that summation is integration with respect to the counting measure. Right? You take the set 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we are having here is, here we are having a omega to the AB neutral. R is take the omega to the discrete. Okay. Then here we have a set of all measurable set intervals from the intervals, and therefore we have the level machine. But here we take the counting machine. It will be even better, but let us look at the counting machine. And then we look at the LP omega, the level or AB. Here you look at the LP omega with respect to the counting, that's what LP is. In other words, all these are integrals. If you properly interpret what is the integration with respect to what measure. Okay. So there is, so in that sense, you can even eventually when you study, you show that all Hilbert spaces are of this form. For a suitable set omega and a measure mu. That's it. All Hilbert spaces are that. Okay, so every information about every Hilbert space is contained in this L2 omega mu spaces. You can always suggest the measure and convert all this. Summation is integration. Or integration is generalization of the summation. So summation should be interpreted as an integration with the right measure. Okay.